Hi there, welcome to Salvos Kids in the Kitchen. I'm Cathryn and this is Matilda. How old are you, Matilda?
I'm 9.
You're 9. Now, I want to ask you a question today. What do you like to eat on a cold winter's day?
Oh, I like having hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate? And so if you were having lunch or dinner and it was really cold outside, what would you eat?
I'd probably have soup.
Soup. That's good because today we're going to be making some soup.
Oh, yeah.
It's chicken and corn soup and it's got a little bit of pasta in it too. So it's a little bit different to a soup that you may have had before, but we're going to be making that together today. But before we start cooking, there's some things that we need to do. And I like to think that there's 4 things that we need to do before we actually start cooking. Do you think you might know any of them?
Definitely tie our hair up so we don't get hair in our food.
And we've done that, haven't we? You and I have long hair, and so we've tied our hair up so that it's not hanging over our face and it's not likely to fall into the food either.
Yeah. Next, we should probably wash our hands.
Yeah, wash our hands is a great idea because we'll be touching the food that us and other people are going to be eating a bit later.
Yes, and we should definitely wear aprons so we keep our clothes nice and neat.
Yes, yep, so that keeps our clothes protected.
And we should wear shoes in case we drop something.
Yep, and the shoes should be covered over the top, shouldn't they? There's no point just putting a pair of sandals on that aren't going to cover our whole foot, and so that's much safer if we wear enclosed shoes or covered shoes. There's a rhyme that we use at Salvos Kids in the Kitchen that helps us to remember those 4 things before we start cooking, and it says, tie your hair up nice and neat, covered shoes upon your feet, an apron keeps clothes neat and smart, wash your hands before you start. Salvos Kids in the Kitchen is about helping kids to learn how to cook so that they can make meals for themselves and their families. And we find that one of the easiest ways to learn how to cook is by using a recipe. And so we have recipe cards that we're going to use today, but these cards are also available if you email kidsinthekitchen@salvationarmy.org.au. Matilda, our recipe card tells us what equipment we need and what ingredients we need. So we'll start with the equipment and then we'll move on to the ingredients and make sure that we've got everything we need before we start cooking.
All right.
So if you want to read through the list of equipment, I'll make sure that we've got it ready to go.
We need a large saucepan.
Yep, so we've got the large saucepan.
We need a wooden spoon.
A wooden spoon.
Measuring cups.
Measuring cups.
Spoons.
Yep, measuring spoons.
Sharp knives.
Sharp knives, and we've got, because we'll be cutting vegetables and chicken, we've got a couple different size knives just to make those jobs a little bit easier.
We need the cutting board.
Cutting boards, and so we've got 2 different coloured cutting boards. We'll use the red one for the meat and we'll use the green one for the vegetables, just so that we're not cross-contaminating with raw chicken especially and vegetables.
Yes.
So we'll move over and we'll make sure that we've got all the ingredients that we need.
We need 1 litre of chicken stock, 1 carrot that's diced. We need 1 onion diced. We need half a stalk of celery, which also needs to be diced. We need a can of creamed corn, 1 chicken fillet, 100 grams of green beans, fresh or frozen, 1 cup of angel hair pasta.
So we've got all our ingredients. Now we'll start chopping some vegetables ready to put into the saucepan and get them cooking.
First off, we should chop the carrot and the celery.
And the onion as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yep, and so our instruction says that they all need to be diced. And when we dice something, it means that we have little cubes, so they look a little bit like a dice, and we try to make all the vegetables about the same size because then they're going to cook in about the same amount of time. So we're going to do that. We're going to chop the onion, the carrot and the celery, and we're going to dice that. So we're going to use our green board and we're going to use the small knife. If you're cooking this for your family, then you may have an adult at home with you who's able to help you with the chopping up of the vegetables. You know what, sometimes when we cut onions, it makes our eyes water, and we do need to give them a bit of a wipe, and then we're ready for the next instruction.
Yeah.
So our recipe goes on to tell us that we need to put all these cut vegetables into a pot with the chicken stock and some of the garlic. We're going to use today pre-prepared chicken stock, but it may be that you have stock powder or a stock cube in your cupboard that you can use, and you just add water to that to make chicken stock. If you'd like to get the garlic, Matilda, and we're going to put 2 teaspoons of that into our pot as well, and then we're going to add all those chopped vegetables, and we're going to heat it on medium, and we need to heat it until it starts to boil. So we're just going to add the garlic, and we're going to add 2 teaspoons of this crushed garlic. And then we're going to add all the vegetables and turn it onto a medium heat. Put the lid on it because things cook better when the heat is kept inside it. And it will take probably about 20 minutes until the vegetables are soft. You can use a knife to help you put the veggies from the board into the pan. Very gently, because otherwise the stock will all splash out over the bench or over you. And that's one of the reasons why we wear the apron, is to protect our clothes from those accidental splashes that might happen. So we're going to turn that on to medium, and our dial has some numbers on from 1 to 5. So the medium, the middle one of that, is about 3. So we're going to put it on to 3, and we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to wait for it to boil. So while the vegetables are simmering, then simmering means turning the heat down to low and just letting it bubble slightly, we're going to move on, and we're going to get the chicken and the beans ready to put into the soup once the other vegetables are tender. And so we're going to need to slice the chicken thinly, and we need to chop the beans into smaller pieces. So Matilda, if you'd like to do the beans, and I'll cut the chicken. So we're using the green board for the vegetables. So if you chop the ends off them and then just cut them into pieces about 2 centimeters long. So about that size for all of those beans. We're using fresh beans today, but if you have a packet of frozen beans in your freezer, then you can use that as well. You need about 100 grams. It doesn't matter if it's a bit more, it doesn't matter if it's a bit less, but the beans add a nice crunch to the soup as well. While Matilda's doing that, I'm going to slice the chicken thinly. And I'm going to use a bigger knife for that, just because chicken can get a bit slippery and it may move around a little bit, so a bigger knife helps us just cut that easier. We want very thin slices, because the thinner the slices are, the easier and the quicker it's going to cook when we put it into our vegetable mixture. So just very thinly slice the chicken. If the pieces are a little bit too big, then we can just cut them up as well. Just remember too, we're using different boards for different things so we don't cross-contaminate. So if you've handled the chicken, then it's also important to wash your hands after you've done that, so you're not cross-contaminating with the raw chicken and the vegetables. Today we're using creamed corn. Have you ever used creamed corn before?
Nope.
It is normal corn, but it's creamed, and there's lots and lots of different ways that they produce corn so that we can use it as food. And if you look over there, we have what a corn cob or an ear of corn looks like when it comes off the plant. And so it's all covered over, and then they take that husk off and it reveals the cob of corn. And we often have cobs of corn, or they take the kernels off and they put them in a can, or they put them in a bag in the freezer. They use corn for lots of things. It's mostly used for food for us, but it's also used for food for animals, because once all the kernels are taken off, they can use the cob, the inside bit, to feed animals. But it's used for other things as well. We can also use corn flour when we're baking, and that's made from corn. It's used in cosmetics as well. So there's lots and lots of uses of corn. But there's one other corn. Do you think you can think of what it might be?
No.
No? Have you ever seen a corn kernel that looks like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
That's when you pop to get popcorn.
You do. You do pop that to get popcorn. And that's quite hard, isn't it? If you feel that,
Yes.
it's very, very hard. And we need to put that into some kind of heat source, so in a saucepan or in the microwave, to be able to get it to pop. And something happens on the inside. The moisture builds up, it becomes steam, and it pops. And it becomes popcorn, and it looks quite different when it's popped, and it looks like that. It's amazing, isn't it, that something happens on the inside to change it from that hard kernel into a fluffy white piece of popcorn.
Yeah.
And you know what? The same can happen for us. When we experience the love of Jesus, something happens on the inside. It's like a little explosion. It's not that our heart pops and it changes into a piece of popcorn, but something happens when we experience the love of Jesus, and we feel that love, and we feel that joy, and we feel that peace that Jesus brings. And you know what? People can see that on the outside. We look different. We act different. We're a bit like the popcorn that's completely different on the outside. And that's what Jesus wants for us, that we might be changed on the inside and that reflected on the outside in what we do. In the Bible, we're going to read from the Bible again, and in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17, it says this: "Anyone who belongs to Christ is a new person. The past is forgotten and everything is new." That's what Jesus tells us, that if we belong to Him, the old is gone, everything is new, and we can be different people when we experience His love in our lives. So I'm going to open the can of creamed corn, ready to go into our vegetable mixture. So we pull the lid up, and that pops it open, and then we put our thumb there and pull the lid right off, so that we're not likely to cut ourselves. We also need to put the pasta into the mixture as well, and we need a cup of angel hair pasta. This angel hair pasta that we've got today is long angel hair pasta. We're going to break some of these into smaller pieces so that it fills the cup. You can usually do a bunch of them together to make the job quicker. And we're just going to do about 3 or 4 centimetres, hold it, break it, and put it into the cup. There you go, if you want to keep going with that one, and I'll get the next bunch ready for you. That's it, about 3 or 4 centimetres long. So if you want to pour that in, we'll put the chicken in.
I'll grab the beans.
Yep.
Here's the corn.
Excellent. Let's pour that in. Matilda, do you want to give that a bit of a stir? So once we've stirred it up, the pasta then is going to cook and it'll change from being a yellow colour to more of a white colour, and it'll be nice and soft, and then we'll know that it's ready. So our soup's been cooking away, the pasta's looking nice and soft, and the chicken's looking cooked through, so it's ready to serve. If you've made this at home, then you might need to ask an adult to help you putting it into the bowls because it is very hot. Are you ready to try it now, Matilda?
Yep. That's good.
It is good. Thanks for helping me today, Matilda, and thank you for joining us. We hope that you enjoy your soup, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.